And good morning, everybody. Good morning. When I introduce these programs, the idea here is why should you listen? All right, let's get right to that. Why should you be focused in on today's programming? Obviously, this week we've been speaking about and will continue to speak about the Michael Magro Foundation. My interview with Terry Magro would be the one to really find out the specifics of the foundation, how it got started, why it got started, how they're operating, where their reach is, which is absolutely phenomenal, how the whole thing works, That's really it. So Terry Magro is without a doubt the driving force behind it. Titles aside, whatever that is, it is, but driving force behind it. But how does it actually work? How does it happen? How does she work with different supporting members, businesses, folks that just donate, board members, all the rest of that stuff? That's what really, truly makes it happen. So why do I bring this up over here? Why? Because you, the business owner, have an area of expertise. The question is, what are you doing with that? Oh, we could discuss the business plan, the marketing side of it, how you reach out to customers, why you do all of those kinds of things. But there's also another factor that get tossed in there, that networking stuff. We do business with people we know, like, and trust. How do people get to know you? How do people get to like you? How do people get to trust you? It's those activities that you do that are not necessarily pure business. It's those things, those community groups, those nonprofits that you're involved with that actually tell your particular story, especially as a small business owner, self-employed. Even some of the larger businesses, their brand, how they are seen within the public, all that stuff is super important from the public standpoint, looking in. But what do you do as a business owner? How do you do that? How do you decide? Where do you go with that? Personal stories aside, because we all have stuff that we have to deal with, and there are different groups that we just are totally involved with from a pure emotional standpoint. Fully understand that. But then there's also your business expertise. Where can that be applied in the nonprofit community? That is why you want to listen to today's story and meet today's guest, because it's your expertise that we'll be talking about through his story, of course. But your expertise, where could you use your expertise in a manner that is helpful and a win-win all around? So who are we going to meet today? We're going to meet the president and CEO of RGD Marketing. His name is Roy DiMarco. And Mr. DiMarco, I must say it's an absolute pleasure to have you on this with us this morning, to get to know your story a little bit more so, and why you are involved in the nonprofit world, and why you're so helpful with the Magro Foundation. Roy, good morning to you.
Good morning. Pleasure to be here.
Thanks. This idea of, well, businesses to be involved with the nonprofit community, big supporter of that. I do my own stuff in there, and I got to tell you, from one of those things, when I meet somebody for the first time, I take a look at their LinkedIn page, Facebook page, Instagram, I'm migrating over into some of these new platforms. To go take a look that way. So forget about what platform should we be on, but that's how we get a chance to meet people, and you look on there to see where else they're involved. So that is a big part of it. As to paint that picture of who we are. So it's important to do. But your story. Let's go back on your story on the whole thing. You have your own marketing company, RGD Marketing. We talk about names. So what is RGD Marketing stand for? Well, let's see. It's your company. We got your initials in there. But that word marketing, it's, I don't know, it's like Murphy bed. It's like this generic term. What does that really mean?
Well,
interesting. A little backstory there.
Yeah, a little backstory. My father was in marketing, and he was actually a creative artist and creative director, and then actually opened up his own agency called Roy Richards and Stevens back in 1969. And so that the acronyms of agencies and law firms, professional service firms, are always named typically after the kids, first name, last name, etc. Then he did that for many years and formed another company when he moved from the city to the island called KRS Communications, which was also for Kim, Roy, and Stephen, which were his children. And the R was for Roy. But the one thing that always I struggled with, and I worked with my dad since in college, and I struggled with the word communications in the name. I wish it was marketing at the time, or advertising, of course, even though communications is a very generic term, like marketing is generic in its sense, but marketing still, people understand marketing, and what that word means. So when I had the opportunity about 8 years ago to form a smaller agency. I had a large agency called Harrison Langford DiMarco, HLD. Again, the acronyms and the names.
But I'm seeing a pattern here. I got to change the name of my company to BAC. This way, maybe we can be friends.
This was honorable. This RGD was honorable to me because it was my first name, middle initial, and last name. So that's how RGD came into play. But marketing was the key word that I wanted to have in the name, because that kind of implies something right away. So to answer your question, that's how I derived with marketing to be part of my branding and my agency name, even though one of my daughters thinks that it was named otherwise, but it was named actually for me.
It leaves it open. It leaves it all open. It leaves it open for a question, right? Isn't that what we're supposed to do with the elevator pitches? So
her name is Gina, so she thinks the G is for Gina.
Sure, there you go. Why not, right? And we do everything for our kids.
Exactly.
It's all about the sometimes it really is all about the kids. But this marketing, the marketing, idea has just changed so many different ways. And even going back to the Michael Magro Foundation. So you got another name tossed in there.
Right.
We know it's you get the word foundation in, there is some cause behind it, but it's getting that brand out, which is a big part of it, and marketing and branding, all the rest of that. It's so intertwined, because how can you come up with a marketing plan if you don't know your brand? And then knowing your brand, going back to a little kind of joke about, the different social media platforms, or
Right.
TV or print or where you go, it's all intertwined.
Yeah, man. Michael Magro is, obviously a great organization. I know, Terry and Paul, and Terry, obviously has done a great job over the years. We met through another non-for-profit, which was called Warriors for a Cause, which is I'm a founder of, with several other people. We started the foundation, just a sidetrack, because we were just a lot of like-minded people. We were not a 501c3 at the time. We were just trying to do good things to help organizations like the Tunnel to Towers, like the Michael Magro Foundation, like the Carly Rose Foundation. And part of the reason we formed Warriors for a Cause is to help organizations like Terry's, which are community-based local foundations who really need a marketing arm, an arm to help spread their word, because again, she's an all volunteer organization, relying on donations, and meeting people like us through the Warriors now branches her out and helps with volunteers, helps with events. And what we've done with Terry over the years is she became a client, and then obviously a friend. But one of the reasons that we got together was to help her with her branding, with her organization. When we met, it's great to have a website, but the website is your online showroom. So your online showroom needs to properly represent who you are as a company. Because from an expectation standpoint, if you're saying something, but then you're acting differently, you're not meeting those expectations. So perception becomes reality. That's one of those key terms that I like to share with people, because you need to literally practice what you preach and showcase what you do, and actually do what you say you do. And then that builds trust. Again, and hiring us as a marketing firm helped her put everything together. Started with the website. Before we did anything else, we cleaned that up, made it to contain the proper information that will represent the Michael Magro Foundation. So when supporters or volunteers or donors go there, it tells the story. Just that's the key. It's all about the story. So then my daughter, Gina, who works for me, is actually on the board too. So we actually get a more in-depth knowledge into the organization. But part of, my mantra, just as a individual and throughout our family, is, you got to give back a little. You got to go into the charitable areas and help organizations. And that's what we've done now to help put a footprint for Michael Magro, because now they've grown tremendously from 8 years ago to 5 years ago to a year ago. And that's through marketing, and that's through various marketing tactics, whether it's email marketing, social media, just from a physical foundation standpoint, your brand. So we help Terry's organization spread the word of her events, looking for corporate sponsors, posting, social media information, educating basically the people out there. I'll call them the consumers, the people who see what her organization does. So education is key, because that then creates a valuable information that the outside world gets. And again, if you don't advertise, no one's going to know about you, right? You can't sit in a corner in a room. You got to put yourself out there. And that's what we do through various, marketing, tactics that work from a local, and we'll call regional standpoint.
Yeah, but it's those conversations that, and the importance of bringing in an outside person to go take a look at what it is that you're doing, because we get, especially in this case, or any nonprofit, where it's being driven by the family that's gone through whatever that story is in order to create the foundation, but you're so close to it that you need a third party person to take a look to see if you are delivering out that right overall message, not just the personal message that drives it in the first place. So bringing in a company like yours is really so important, but really understanding what they're trying to accomplish. And sometimes I wonder if that's somewhat of and Terry's been doing this for a while, so I'm sure her story has got much more refined. In fact, I know it after just speaking with her as we went through this, and I've known Terry for years, but with that, not the story getting refined, but the where are we going with this foundation getting refined.
And what's interesting too, not only Terry, but I work with several non-for-profits, and another non-for-profit and Terry actually referred me to this new non-for-profit, similar situation, with a tragic family issue, lost their daughter over a year ago, and their family wanted to start a foundation. So she asked if she could speak to me because she saw what we've done with Terry's organization, and Terry said, call Roy DiMarco at RGD Marketing. And now I'm starting from the ground up with this new foundation, and the key is their work. They're coming from it from an emotional standpoint, and rightfully so, because they just went through a tragic family issue, losing a daughter, in Terry's case, losing a son. So you have to be very understanding of the situation and be able to now kind of help them focus on what the need is of the foundation, and put the right steps in place. And I'll use the word foundation, and I mean that in the sense of building a brand foundation. Because it's a company, so you need to do the right things first before you do, don't put the cart before the horse, so to speak, as they say. So that's how I started, what we did with Terry initially, get her on track. The Daniela Conte Foundation is another one. Her name is Katia Conte, and same thing, started to get her and build her the proper foundation so she can go out now and look for corporate sponsors, plan galas, do virtual 5K runs, in this case through the COVID time versus a traditional run, and all these events. So it really makes her brand look solid, and it represents her. So those are the things that I do specifically for the non-for-profits, is help them, because of my background, making sure that they put the proper foundation in place for their organization.
Yeah, and this is where I think it's so important for businesses to really use their expertise, and your perfect story as it goes along with that. There are many times that we get involved with a nonprofit, pure, and not to just turn into an emotional thing, and that's got to be somewhat of a challenge, kind of separating out the two along the way, because you get really super close to these people and that kind of thing, which is great. And I'm sure you probably do that with just your business clients also. It's slightly different, but still the same kind of thing. Where we're using our business expertise in order to help the nonprofit continue to move on, because they are after we get through the emotional side of it, it is a business. In order for it to be
It is.
sustainable, beyond those first couple of years of everybody wanting to do everything, it's got to, remain in place. Whatever it is, that they're doing, whether volunteers going out and physically helping out, or volunteers raising money, and doing different things. So it's important to have that aspect of it and a clear focus. So it's great that you're able to bring your expertise into those organizations in that way. But knocking the emotional point of view aside a little bit, somebody starts their own business, it becomes their baby too.
Exactly. It's the same
There's
thing.
probably a lot of similarities in there.
You know what? It is, because it is. When you start your own business, and I'll deal, whether it's law firms, accounting firms, manufacturing companies, healthcare providers, physical therapy companies, I've worked with them all, and they do what they do best, right? We're not going to be the physical therapist. I'm not going to be the accountant. I'm not going to be the real estate attorney expert. So my expertise, but it is their baby. But sometimes they're thinking a different way than a marketer would think. Because I look at the big picture first, like what are we doing? What are the goals? What's the strategy? What are we trying to accomplish versus just tackling, oh, I need a website. Oh, I need, 500, coffee mugs, or, we need to run a print ad or a digital ad, but they're typically, they've done it with no rhyme or reason. They're doing it because, something came up and they're reacting.
Right.
So the role that I've played with all of my clients, regardless of what industry they're in, is that I'm the go-to guy. You tell me what your problems are. I'll come up with the solutions. I'll recommend the right direction. I'll analyze opportunities that come your way, because they may come to them first before they come to me, because a lot of companies try to reach out to these companies specifically, but they don't really know. So a lot of times I'll get these things. I said, no, this is just a pay for play. Yeah, you're going to do this, but it's going to cost you $2,000. I could do a lot more with your $2,000 to affect your business and bring in clients, versus just something that may be self-satisfying, because you're going to get a plaque on a wall because you paid $1,500 and they're going to send you a plaque, and you get nothing out of it. So
I don't have any plaques behind me here. Oh, man.
things of that nature. But if you do something that has value, and there are cases where I said, you know what, this is a good thing to do, to spend the money on the other side, because then you can take advantage of it, which we could do today, which we couldn't do, say, 10, 15 years ago, because of the digital platforms. Now, here's an interesting example. Years ago, you got covered in a newspaper, right? And someone did an article write-up. It was a PR, public relations type of initiative, right? Well, that was it. It was covered in the paper, one and done, they send you a plaque. Great, and you pay for that. Now, you can get that same type of coverage. Whether they cover it or not in the publication is kind of irrelevant, but they do. Now you can take that coverage, now use it as a marketing tool, share it on your social media platform, put it on your website, send it out in an email blast, put it on your LinkedIn page. So now you took that one and done type of opportunity that if someone didn't see it at that particular time, now you can take advantage of it and use it as a marketing tool. So that's how the digital platform and how marketing has changed over the years because of these new opportunities. And now smaller companies can afford to do these things because it's things that we can control.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. It lives forever. I have to agree. I mean, I do these things, these videos. It's not like me standing up in front of a group of 20 people once at some place and
Right.
if you're in the room, you heard me. If you didn't, Brian
Right.
spoke there. I remember hopefully somebody remembers what I said.
Right. Well, this video, the same thing. This can now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the YouTube link. I'm going to, share it on my social media platforms, put it on my website. These are things that and that's part of marketing, right? That's part of sharing your story, and it's third party credibility that way. It's someone else telling it, but now you're showing, I was on this Long Island Speakers Bureau show. Now they can, now they can see for themselves. So, it's just another way to take advantage of an opportunity like this. I'll just call it selfishly, but it's really from a business standpoint.
And they're in it, but that's it. I mean, and it's interesting where you personally, where we cross the line between self-promotion, hey, look at me, versus I've been interviewed on this show because
Right.
I'm an expert in whatever category that is. pay to play. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, it really all depends. But what's challenging, the way I see it, is that, or now the barrier to entry, the idea of getting on the cover of a magazine or included in some newspaper or getting interviewed on a podcast, where it used to be getting interviewed on TV was, there's only four, I'll date myself here, not you. There's only four stations in that local public access thing. Now there's who knows how many TV stations there are. Podcast versus radio, unbelievable. So the ability to do these things, the challenge is which ones to do. Forget the learning curve. Learning curve, you do anything, just so you go. Maybe you delete some of those things as you go along. But from a strategic standpoint, again, it goes back to, and you could use this clip, it goes back to speaking to somebody like Roy at RGD Marketing for your strategy to put in place. But how do you figure out which ones to go with? I mean, there's so many now. It's like, where do you go? How do you do it? Which do you choose from?
Yeah, well, that really is an individual thing based on the business, based on the company, based on their goals, and based on budget. Bottom line, it comes down to a budget, and you have to take what your priorities are. And what I do with companies, small or large, is we create a priority list. And then I may wind up breaking it out into phases, because you don't want to do phase 3 until you do phase 2 and phase 1. And you can ease into it, because once you have some, say, fundamental foundation items done, like a website, like a branding, like a logo, some of the basic things, now that's great. But now you don't have to do that year after year. Now you can take the next step into now actually promoting your company through various marketing initiatives. And whether it's vertical markets, because you're in that type of an industry where you just want to speak to a finite audience, or if you're a retail, a business or consumer business where your audience is a lot greater and a lot wider. So you have to take a look at what your objectives are, what you're looking to accomplish, what the main, goal is, and then have realistic expectations. It's not a one and done. Advertising is cliche, but you can't run an ad once and think the phones are going to ring. Today, marketing, unless you're selling a particular item, like a cup of coffee or a car, at a sale price where you need an action right away, fine. But if you're just selling a service, and you're a law firm or accounting firm or a manufacturing company or an agency, you just got to be out there to get recognition and create awareness of what you do, because then when the need arises, you need to be there. That's what marketing is. You can't just say, I'm going to advertise this month and not advertise the next month, because your prospective next client may not be ready for a month or 2 or 3. So, and they may want to be comfortable with seeing your brand, seeing your name. Becomes a trust factor that you're a quality, credible entity. So there are ways that we build a marketing plan to kind of achieve that. So, they just don't dabble in, because I'll tell clients, just, don't spend the money. I'll gladly take it, but you're not going to benefit from it.
Right.
The ways you're going to benefit from it is having clear expectations, understanding what you're doing, why we're doing it. And these are the realistic outcomes that are going to be there. Because at the end of the day, they're just, if they expect something and they don't get it, it's a losing proposition.
Yeah, no, it's managing expectations across the board. The whole thing. I just had a conversation with someone who wants to do a podcast. She's like, the golden question was like, how much do you pay attention to the views when you get started? I was like, you don't.
Right.
You just don't. And it's like, and I know how hard that really is, but you don't. So as long as your why that you're doing it, and your message to yourself is really super important to you, and delivering that message is important, focus on that. And it's like, then you stop talking and wait and listen. Because,
right. Hey, the classic cliche, Rome wasn't built in a day. You need to start somewhere. Right, and have the real expectations. Things will come, but patience is key. And in most businesses where you're in a B2B industry, service business, charitable organization, non-for-profit, you're building a brand. You're creating awareness. You're building trust. But you have to be out there on a consistent basis in order for it to be successful. So that's where you have to manage it appropriately and do it, and don't spread yourself too thin. Maybe if you have some limited funds, you just focus on 1 or 2 areas, but don't try to be everywhere, because if you're not going to be in that space in a good, efficient manner, then it's, you're wasting all your time and money.
Yeah.
I mean, I go through this all the time. I had a call yesterday with a client, and I said, listen, we've been down this road over 10 years, 3 or 4 times. So, it doesn't pay for us to go back and explore. This is what works. This is what didn't work. This is what you need to do. If you want to go ahead and do that, that's the approach we have to take.
Right.
So, I'm not going to say it's not rocket science, but to me, I know we know what we're doing. You know what you're doing. We know really what should be done, how it should be done. Yes, some things work better than others, but you still have to be in the game, and leverage those. And trial and error sometimes you still have to do that.
I sit here and smile because I know those that got into business because, oh, I'm done with, let's say, I'm done with corporate America. I'm brilliant. I could do this. I could serve everybody. Roy, get me in front of everybody. And you're like, slow down, man. Just
Right.
Slow down. Take it easy, because that's not the way it works. What do you mean? It means you're going to have to do a little hard work over here. And that consistency factor is it. And it's the same thing that everybody thinks it's so much different. Goes, oh, I could be in front of 30,000 people with just a click away. It's like, it's the same darn thing. It's the same darn approach to the whole thing. When we did that old fashioned thing, like showing up at events, that was in-person events, and saying, handing out cards. Hi, my name is, that kind of thing. Nobody cares that first, third, fifth time that you're there. And if you just hand out cards, that's terrible. But it's the same thing as a website. If you just have a great website and you're not delivering anything, it's the same thing. It's like, we have to get to know people. And, so it,
Right. I mean, you have to drive people. You have to drive people to that website. You can have a great website, but if you don't drive, it's like a car sitting in the garage. It's not going anywhere. You need to, drive people to that site. It's a living, breathing organism. Make sure it's relevant. It has the proper content on there, and it's up to date. Because again, perception is reality. Someone's going to go to a website. No matter what you and I do, we check companies out. We go right to their website, and that gives you a first impression, and first impressions are everything. And right, wrong, or indifferent, you better make it your best impression you can, because that's going to give you the opportunity. That's going to make someone say, you know what, I'm going to put this company on my list to call. I got a good feeling from visiting their site. They see like they have the right, services for me, things of that nature. They see relevant, they looked at maybe things on testimonials, maybe they looked at content pieces, articles, and they say, okay, this is someone I want to call. Or they may even know someone who they may see a client or something or a name go to a LinkedIn page that you're connected with, and they say, oh, okay, right now they see someone that may knew this person. So still goes back to referrals, right? Validation. And then at the end of the day, you as the company, you as the brand need to deliver.
Ultimately it does come down to that, but it's that perception barrier that it needs to be, gone through. And that's why I, working with a marketing company, such as yours, someone could take a third party look at it just to make sure that that I, as the foundation, or I, as the business owner, I have this message I think I'm delivering. But having somebody like you take a look to see, no, that's not really what you're saying over here, and you need to do and work around that whole thing. And everything's a big factor in the whole thing. Website, social media, all that stuff. Your best marketing partner there is, assuming that marketing partner.
Right. One of the things I always tell
message.
One thing I tell clients is, I'm not going to tell you, what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. Because if I'm going to just tell you what you want to hear, it really may not be the best advice I can give you, because all I'm doing is placating to you, right? And not telling you what you really need from a professional standpoint. Just like if you go to a doctor, they're going to tell you, I think it's this. And I said, no, you got arthritis and this is why, So, you need to just have the belief that someone is telling you the object, because you're looking at it differently. When you said it earlier, if you're so close to something, you're not that expert, you really can't, make those proper recommendations and service your own company from a marketing standpoint when you don't have that expertise. You need someone to look at it from a kind of a 360 overview approach, and not looking at it emotionally, looking at it objectively, and saying, okay, great, these are the things that, your pain points, and this is how we should address your pain points. And one last thing I'll leave you with is do your research. Which I do, is I'll talk to clients of a company to find out what they think about the company, why they decided to hire them, not why the company thinks they hired them, because ultimately it's two different things. So when you hear it from why actual clients, hired a firm, that is real information. So, and you utilize that information in your marketing and in your messaging. And that actually validates, a message that I'm going to create, because now I'm working from factual information, not just because you told me how wonderful you are.
Right.
They may, it's not because, I dress nice or have a nice, haircut. No, they went to you because of X, Y, and Z. And if 90% of the clients do that, then that's your message. That's your key message. That's your point of difference. Because a lot of companies do the same thing, but do they live up to those expectations? And that's what I said earlier, making sure you live up to those expectations.
Have to do it. You absolutely have to do it. So yeah, no, I totally agree with you. We have family, some friends will say, "Oh, fantastic. You're great." Like, oh, that's really wonderful. But am I, what's really going on over there? So you got to be careful who you ask for opinions. And sometimes flat out, you got to go, we're going to throw the word coach in there over there. A coach, psychologist, the whole thing.
Exactly. Well, I played it all. That's what
I'm sure.
We're all that.
Yeah. All right, Coach. Let me ask you this question. So if you're speaking to a business owner that's out there that has an expertise in some area, what would you tell them when it comes to like why you should be supporting, helping? Maybe, it doesn't have to be board member, but it's like helping out or being involved with some nonprofit effort.
Well, first off, I think it's a great thing for anybody to do, to give back to your community. But these non-for-profits, especially the ones like Terry Magro's foundation, they need support. They need help by all of us. They need an army. They can't do it all themselves. So whether you're looking for board members, volunteers, friends of an organization, corporate partners, they need, people like you and I out there to champion their brand. And sometimes people have what, say, Terry does, or what other non-for-profits do. They may have a connection there because it affected their life in some way, and they want to give back somehow. And that's how a lot of the non-for-profits then, by telling the story and being out there. So if I share a Terry Magro post about the Michael Magro Foundation, and then I'm a friend of hers on social media or an Instagram page, and I share this or like this post, some of my friends may now see and say, "Oh, I didn't know that this organization existed. How can I get involved? Oh, they have a golf outing. Oh, I would like to play or like to be a sponsor. Or they have a gala. Or I want to get more involved. I'm looking to become a volunteer on a board." So these are the things why people need to get involved. Why the word from a non-for-profit needs to be spread in far of a marketing standpoint, and educate people of these organizations. And again, back to the Terry Magro, what they do, because again, they need more help than they actually have. And by spreading the word, knowledge is power, right? And getting it, building your base through the viral aspect of, say, social media or everyone's individual networks now puts it tenfold. And that has happened to many of Terry's, now we'll call friends of the organization, through hearing about their organization in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I agree with you 100%. Roy, thanks. I really appreciate
it was a pleasure.
Yeah, it's great stuff. We could talk about a whole bunch
go
of
on
things.
Forever.
I know. Hey, marketing, branding. All this stuff has changed so many different ways. I would say it used to be like over the decades. Then it's like, no, or over the generations, over the decades. It's like now it seems like every year there's something different, something changing, different ways of managing and getting the word out and doing different things. It's exciting. It's an exciting world we live in. So that's that story. All right, Roy, again, thanks. Website, just give your website and we'll put the links up for the whole thing.
RGDmarketing.com. And, anybody who has any, any questions of just, advice, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to speak to anybody, because again, once you have an opportunity to talk to someone, you can get an idea, and then, if they need some help, I'll be more than happy to, speak to them in in that fashion.
Terrific. Okay, thank you very much. We'll definitely keep in touch on this whole thing, and I look forward to meeting some of the other support members, groups,
Yes.
and individuals, businesses they're helping out with the
Yep.
foundation and your efforts also. And you want to put up
Great.
the links on that stuff? That'd be
Yep.
great also.
Yeah, and thank you for having me. A pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yep. I think Roy brought up a great point over there. Your involvement in a nonprofit, you're sharing their story, all of a sudden opens up the possibility of giving others an opportunity to assist that foundation or help out or get involved with, because everybody's got stories, right? It's not just business. Everybody's got different stories, issues that they're going through. Maybe the Magro Foundation or others, can help out the circle of people you're with. Maybe the circle of people you're with could help out the Magro Foundation or one of the others to get involved. Need to get involved. Just need to. There's a feel-good factor from within. There's a feel-good factor going out also. And it is so important to get the message out of those that are doing good for others. And then your circle of friends, your circle of business associates, referral partners will all be in that world of helping others do better. And you know what happens then? We all do better. And isn't that what we're really truly after over here? For all of us to continue to improve, all of us continue to rise and be able to accomplish a lot more of what it is that we do. That's important. So thank you for joining us today, Roy. Thank you very much, RGD Marketing, for joining us here today also and sharing that story. There's quite a few others within the Magro Foundation world that you'll get a chance to meet and see what you can do in order to help out in whatever way is the proper way for you to do that. And a good way to get that message out, my friends, is to speak well, speak often, and live inspired.